Iran News Today. Iran's new president raises diplomatic hopes. Reformist Masoud Pezeshkian wants closer relations with the West to ease sanctions. But his abilities are restricted. Iran may relax its absolutist foreign policy and open up diplomatically after the election of reformer Masoud Pezeshkian as president, current and former officials and analysts say. Mr. Pezeshkian, a cardiologist, MP, and former health minister, has no foreign policy expertise. But he has promised to empower Iran's most elite and cosmopolitan diplomats to handle his foreign policy, sparking hopes of a better relationship with the West. Former Obama special assistant and longtime Mideast negotiator Dennis B. Ross said Mr. Pezeshkian represents a more pragmatic posture and less combative posture toward the outside and the inside. The supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, would do a great deal to limit Mr. Pezeshkian's foreign agenda, Mr. Ross said. Most of the Iranian president's powers are domestic. As Iran's senior political and religious leader, Mr. Khamenei determines all significant policy decisions, especially with foreign affairs and the nuclear program. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, another Iranian force, handles all military concerns. The Revolutionary Guards and Supreme Leader decide when and how to use military force, whether to attack Israel or its proxies in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Diplomats and observers say Iran's foreign policies have tightened in recent years and may continue under Mr. Pezeshkian. That includes strengthening connections with other authoritarian nations, as Iran has done by providing Russia with drones and missiles to strike Ukraine, and projecting itself as a Middle East and Western force despite its domestic unrest and ailing economy. Iran's resistance axis has been so successful that it's hard to see why anyone would want to destabilize a policy that has allowed Tehran to project authority with impunity. As the election approached, Council on Foreign Relations Iran analyst Ray Takei provided his opinion. Analysts believe the president's influence on Iran's global perception is primarily through the ambassadors he chooses. Mr. Pezeshkian contrasts sharply with his top opponent, anti-Western ultra-conservative Saeed Jalali. Mr. Jalali rejected an agreement with international powers to curtail Iran's nuclear program in exchange for respite from harsh economic sanctions under Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Stimson Center analyst stated in June that he had pushed to enrich uranium to weapons-grade levels. His approach led to Iran's isolation, said International Crisis Group Iran director Ali Vaiz. He doesn't value dealing with the West. Under Mr. Pezeshkian, I think the odds of a diplomatic breakthrough will increase. Relaxing Western relations. Pezeshkian has claimed he wants to pursue a policy of international engagement and ease relations with the West to abolish sanctions. He wants to communicate with other governments, even Israel, but he warns against overvaluing partnerships with Russia and China. Mr. Vaiz added, because then they could exploit Iran and isolate it abroad. If we want to work based on this strategy, we must behave nicely with everyone and develop a good connection with everyone based on dignity and interests, Mr. Pezeshkian said in May. The more we strengthen our foreign ties, the closer we go to the policy, but the more tensions build, the further we move away from it and the situation worsens. Image. Mr. Vaiz said Mr. Pezeshkian admits to having no international expertise and has made no foreign policy ideas. But Mohammad Javad Zarif, the former foreign minister who negotiated a nuclear deal with international powers in 2015, was his campaign's foreign policy advisor. Hardliners at home have derided Mr. Zarif, a smart English-speaking diplomat who lived in the U.S., as a pretend American. The Trump factor. The candidacy of former President Donald J. Trump complicates Iran's response to efforts to restore the 2015 nuclear deal, which will test its diplomacy with the West. The pact to prevent Iran from manufacturing a nuclear bomb expires next year. Since Mr. Trump withdrew from the deal in 2018 and reimposed sanctions, it has been mostly dead. That led Iran to speed its uranium enrichment, which analysts think could fuel 3 or more bombs in days or weeks. Iran has long claimed that its nuclear program is benign and that Mr. Khamenei's 2003 fatwa, or Islamic decree, forbids it from making or utilizing nuclear weapons. American officials deny that Iran is weaponizing its near-bomb-grade uranium, but Israelis say academic research is concealing such activities. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Catherine Ashton, worked closely with Mr. Jalali and Mr. Zarif during the nuclear discussions in 2013. She said Mr. Jalali seemed focused on keeping the conversations happening while ensuring there was no meaningful progress or outcome. Image. But Mr. Zarif had a considerably stronger understanding of the USA and Europe, and a commitment to safeguard the future of Iran in the region, Ms. Ashton added. Mr. Khamenei advised Iranians against electing a president who was too friendly to the West, especially the US. After years of hostility and dispute, Iran's transactional relations with Russia have warmed during the last decade, helping it cope with international isolation, diplomats say. The battle in Gaza has raised tensions between the US and Iran-backed troops in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, reducing the likelihood of new accords, Stimson Center researchers noted.